Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
On the show this week, we have a special look at the upcoming Slamdance Film Festival. Then we tackle the news of libraries fighting to put more ebooks on their shelves by challenging state laws and going to court. As indie bookstores adjust to the times we're in, taking care of more than just their readers, does this concern affect sales elsewhere for indies? We'll tackle all these subjects and more with our expert round table. Then C.L. Cannon will be along, sharing multiple indie books. This week's selection just might murder your to-be-read list. And then Nikki Nelson Hicks helps us hide the bodies in the final 5 minutes of the show. So sit down, grab your coffee, and let's get to talking about all these issues and more. Here's your host for This Week in Indies, Joe Compton. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Indies for January 23rd, 2022. God damn, January is almost over. Oh, wow, crazy. Welcome to the show. This week, we have a special sponsor for us. We are actually very, very happy to welcome to This Week in Indies, and all week long they've been helping us with our shows, and that is the Slamdance Film Festival. They're sponsoring the show today, and we're really grateful for that. I'm about to give you a good look at what you can expect at the Slamdance Film Festival and then tell you how you can get involved. So here's a little bit of a taste from Park City. Well, not Park City, but virtual Park City this year. Yep, that's right. Discover the future of filmmaking. The 2022 Slamdance Film Festival is here. January 27th through February 6th. See all the new voices of filmmaking with over 100 films from around the world, including 28 features, 79 shorts and episodics, and a brand new digital interactive gaming program. You'll be able to participate in all of the artist Q&As, the event discussions, the panel discussions, and they have this neat interactive game called the Blockchain Fairy Tales Project. So you can join. All of this is accessible for just $10. That's right, $10 gets you all of those things and more. You can stream on demand anytime you want, so you can watch these films at your convenience. So go get your pass. The link is scrolling across the screen there, and it'll also be in the description at the end of the show. Go click on it. Go get your pass, $10. And thank you very much to the Slamdance Film Festival for sponsoring our show. And with that being said, welcome to This Week in Indies. And I've got an awesome group of people with me. As you can see, another wonderful dais for us and a roundtable discussion. I'm real excited about that. Hey, there you go.
Got the merch. I don't have the
merch. Always
branding.
Branding.
Always branding and double fisting. I'm sure Jonesy will enjoy that.
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everybody to the show. Let's go around the horn and see who's here with us today. So why don't you start us off, Heidi, and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heidi Angel, and I am a prolific author. I have 17 books in 8 different genres, and I'm really excited to be here today and talk about all the fun stuff going on with book sales.
Awesome. We're glad to have you. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. All right, Jim.
I'm Jim Nettles. I write science fiction, urban fantasy, bit of horror, bit of this, that, and the other. I also write a lot of nonfiction, business, entrepreneurial stuff, this, that, and the other. I got to remember everything I do at these days. I do a lot of workshops for authors around the business side of being an author. One of the founders for the continual convention that we always get to have fun playing with Joe and partnering with GoIndie. And I am the business track director for the SpecFic Academy. And I feel sure there's some other stuff thrown in there somewhere.
I'm sure we'll get to it eventually. All right, JD.
Greetings, fellow humans. And I got books and they're multiplying. These are just, I don't know, these are 7 of my 18 books. I write poetry, nonfiction, urban fantasy, middle grade. I have a special project called Blank Comics, which I will try a couple of different things this year because why the hell not? I don't get bored. This is my first live of the year, so I'm happy to be, pimping stuff out and just being able to chat with y'all.
Awesome.
Which one's the chaser?
As the chaser.
Awesome. Well, welcome, sir. We're glad you're back with us. We appreciate it. All right, Adam, you want to tell everybody about yourself, sir?
Oh,
you're muted, sir.
I muted myself. Yeah, my bad. My name's Adam Gaffin. I'm a science fiction writer, and compared to everybody else here, I've got nothing out there. So I'll just.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You're always popping up in my Facebook
Chronicles,
feed.
so
Yeah.
that's something.
all right, Nikki, finish it off.
Okay, hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. I write in a lot of different genres: speculative fiction, horror, science fiction, some pulp stuff. My J.K. Shanty series is pretty much a lot of pulp noir stuff set in the 1930s in New Orleans with a lot of voodoos and chickens and golems and monsters. I basically do a lot of monsters and murder.
Oh my.
It's basically if there's not a murder by chapter 3, I'm bored. So that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome.
Love it.
Well, everybody's we've got a good crowd here. Everybody, Maddie's here, Regina's here, Anita's here. I actually went back and saw this in the videos the other day, Heidi. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I just rewatched it. Was it yesterday? It came up in my memories feed, and I was like, "Oh, I remember those good times when we were allowed to leave the house and there was snow."
It was in a supermarket by a Starbucks.
Yep, it was in a Smith supermarket with a little Starbucks, and boy, the audio was horrible, but the fun was totally worth it. So
yeah, that was, I think that was my first year at Slamdance, if I'm not mistaken. But now you said Superstars. Everybody says hello, and Regine said, "Yay, Indies! Yay, Slamdance! Yes, go get your pass, everybody. It's going to be a great time. I trust me. I've seen. Oh, Adam dropped out. But I've seen quite a few of the films, and I can tell you, this year is really amazing, really amazing. And it's amazing every year, but it's really amazing. Speaking of amazing, I guess that's a terrible segue, but we had some news this week about libraries, and just wanted to touch on this real quickly. So we'll just, as we were discussing in our private chat, this is the amuse-bouche of our episode here, talking a little bit about libraries, enlisting, lawyers and going to court to try and get states to recognize their need for ebooks, and very interesting fight that they're ahead of. And some legislation's already been passed, like in Maryland, they just passed some legislation, and some other places. And so I think with Macmillan doing what they did to the libraries last year and kind of pulling some books and things of that nature, trying to get a little bit more pennies on the dollar for it. Libraries are clamoring for support. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, see what everybody thought about it. I think, with expanded reach and us clamoring for our own expanded reach these days, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, and with the way that the world is now, this might be something that could help us in the long run, I think. But what does everybody think?
Well, here in Tennessee, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, in Tennessee, we already have, you can get ebooks. That seems to be a problem here, because whenever I go to the library a lot because I'm a cool kid, and on my lunch break, I like to go down to the library and just kind of hang out. But often also I go online when I'm looking up a book or looking up for something, and I notice we have a lot of ebooks. So I think it's very important that we need to have it a option for people who can't make it to the library, especially right now with the pandemic. You can't get to the library. So I don't see what the problem is. Why is this being said? Oh, money. That's what it is. I forgot. Money. I'm sorry. I'm such a child. And I think that why don't we have like things available for people who need it? Oh, because we aren't making money off of it, you idiot. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about the capitalistic bottom line. Oh God, I'm sorry. But then again, as a writer, does it hurt writers to have books in libraries? I don't know. I'm not that kind of no, I'm nowhere on that kind of thing. So,
I personally, I understand where the libraries are coming from. I remember when we were first able to put books in libraries, I was charging the same amount on Overdrive as I do for a regular copy of a book.
wow.
And I was floored when I found out that that's not the standard practice.
Right, yeah.
And, they charge $50, $70, $150 sometimes for some of those best-selling books for
Whoa.
them to have those in the library. And it's the exact same copy that a person could buy for $14.99. And then with the ebooks, they're doing the exact same thing because and that's per one license that they're charging that kind of money. And growing up, my love for reading was because of libraries, because we never could have afforded to, I could barely afford, even as a middle class, to keep me in books. My husband has me on a budget for a reason.
I'm on a book budget.
But,
no, I'm the same
and
way.
to me, it's like libraries are very much the same as people who pirate. Those people aren't going to buy your book. They can't afford it 9 times out of 10. So do you want your book to be read, or do you just want to make money?
If they review it, pirate it, but don't pirate it and not review it and be an asshole. Give us
that would be nice. That would absolutely be nice. But either way, you're not going to get that sale. The people that are going to the library, they can't afford to buy all those books.
I can't buy my groceries with my book sales in a month. So to have, I've and the things that the dynamic in Puerto Rico is very curious, because there are very few, if any, libraries in Puerto Rico, and it's something. Bookstores are starting to come back and starting to open up. Libraries are making a push for that, but I didn't grow up with libraries. I had the school library, and that was it. And the selection was not the best. And I'm being kind there. Extremely limited. But when it comes to stateside, the culture of libraries here is very different, and you see people that take their kids, or any people of all ages. When I went to the library, people like, my age or even older, I'm going to go so I can take this workshop. And it's like, to me, that's baffling. Anything that can feed to that is great. And anything that you can incentivize people, it's like, if you're going to read me, come on, out of 10 people, 2, leave a review. That would be a hell of a return, if you ask me.
Well, and all right, so I'm going to be, because I can be, I'll be the devil's advocate here and the evil guy.
Good.
I know that's a shocker. I know that's just absolute shocker. But I am going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate, because number one, you do have to look at the libraries as being a source where it's not you're selling a copy for one person. And this is where you do have licenses being sold. And I think we even talked about this some last year with the licensing model that the major publishers use with libraries, is how many reads a particular title can have for that given license in a period of time. And I very much have a balance about how to approach this, because anytime I have a librarian come to me at a convention, a show, something like that, and they start flipping through like the business books and some of that stuff, I'll give them copies for their libraries. I absolutely support the libraries. I've got a lot of friends that work for them, and I'm hugely supportive. At the same time, and I agree that, for the most part, the people that are going to the library to get a book to read are not going to the bookstore to go buy a copy, generally. But at the same time, it still costs the same amount to produce that title. You're already dealing with publishers who are running on thin margins as it is. And, we still have to look at the business side of the model and everything that's going on. So, yeah, I think there needs to be a better happy medium. But one of the things that I see happening is that Amazon with programs like KDP have created that sensation that books should be basically free. And I think that feeds into a lot of the information about the library model, where KDP has almost become the library system for independent authors to reach readers. And I think that if Amazon and KDP could do some kind of a model with the libraries for e-readers and ebooks, I think there's a really strong deal to be made there. For more of the traditional publishers and people that are going into libraries, it's playing that game of what's the budget, what are people willing to pay. And I think that we also have to look at the other side of it, which is right now the number of people that are leveraging their views about what's acceptable in their libraries, not only in their schools, but in their general library systems, and the number of people that are objecting to and banning titles from library systems. I think that ebooks offer a way to combat that, because number one, you have to know to go look for them. But number two, I think it's a much more cost-effective way for libraries to reach systems. And even aside from the pandemic, like our library system, the ebook system that we have allows you just to basically borrow that title and pull it into your e-reader without having to go to a physical library.
Mm-hmm.
So immediate accessibility, I think there's tremendous value to e-readers and ebooks for the library systems, but I think that there can be a much more cost-effective model.
But I think you hit on something interesting in terms of a happy medium. Amazon is not interested in a happy medium. They're interested in underselling other people. It's like, I'd rather lose money than have that person make money.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. And again, it's all about balance. And Amazon is rarely interested in balance. It's like,
yeah, and I'm not sure what
your
I said, but I meant
groceries
to say
here, get your books here, etc. In terms of the libraries and that comment and what's happening with the school systems, obviously this varies from state to state and group to group. To have that subversive little groups and reading groups, taking to arms, I kind of like that. There should be a book made about
You're
that.
An agent of chaos is what you are. Okay. But then again, it's good. It's good to.
No, but in Texas, there's a group of teens that have gotten a lot of coverage lately, because they're like, okay, these books that have been recently banned because our parents want to protect us.
Oh, the Satan Club.
Yeah,
the Satan Club. I heard about them recently. I love
there
that.
There are several groups.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if anyone by any chance from those groups want any of my books, I don't care. Ring me up.
Exactly.
Fight the power.
Fight the power.
All right. Well, we'll move on to our next topic, but thanks for everybody's feedback. Adam, did you want to chime in on this?
I think the topic has been covered pretty exhaustively.
All right, thank you, sir. Sounds good. Well, let's go through the chat here. There is some comments about everything. So Maddie says we have something here that you lend it to via ebook. Not 100% how it works. Haven't been to a library in a while. I think that's another issue, right? Is people aren't going to libraries. People aren't going anywhere. But really, I mean, libraries have been kind of mulled over and not taken care of. So, all right, well, be careful, Margaret. Yeah. And Virginie says, I got paperbacks still in their plastic because I found a copy somewhere, read it, liked it, left a review, bought it when I saw it in the store. There you go. That's how you do it.
Hopefully Virginie is as contagious as Omicron.
And Heidi, who's breaking the fourth wall here, says my niece does the library lending with the ebooks all the time.
Cool.
This is a pretty cool comment. Peter Rothschild says, by establishing reading societies and subscription libraries and taking these under direction and supplying them through our labors, we may turn the public mind, which we will. Yeah, that's a nice quote. And
How do you say the last name? Weishaupt.
I'm not going
Weishaupt.
not even
Weishaupt.
Weishaupt.
Yes, but you also have to know
Awesome.
some of the rest of the context within which he made that statement.
Okay.
Why? Was there more to it? Oh my gosh! What?
Oh yeah.
Is he Nazi?
You have to read all of his papers and treatises. I mean,
Oh
to
God.
go cause
Okay. I
trouble.
was thinking I was so nice, but no. Okay. That's nice. It's there's no Mr. Rogers.
Those damn Nazis tricking us again.
Damn Nazis.
No, but
All right.
that's an interesting comment because most people nowadays react to headlines and quotes, and they don't
Yeah.
read the entire
Yeah.
thing. That's why
Mhm.
that's why so many things get out of control because people don't
They
read
do.
the entire thing. It's like I have to read the entire thing. Yeah, you asshole.
You need to know who this person was.
Yeah, there's
and where.
context.
I mean,
The
There's
context.
subtext.
Oh my god, that was so racist. Did you read the entire piece that was talking about racism and what? No, I just read the quote and it was so offensive. And I'm like,
Oh,
All right.
critical thinking is not exactly. Yeah.
well, it's like and of course I've
Context.
just gone blank because I'm working on an article about this again right now. But it's the old famous quote of information just wants to be free. We see that all the time. That's not the complete quote.
What's the rest
That-
of it? What's the rest?
The entire complete quote. If I really wanted to, I could fire up the other laptop and pull it up. But the short version of it is that ultimately the cost of what it takes to gain and publish information is so high that it wants to be kept to a small few. However, when there's the value in the information, ultimately it wants to be free. And it's a description of how both market forces and
Oh.
people's design for information, as information spreads, ultimately the cost of that information goes down per consumer because so many people pull in and look at the information, consume it, and use it. So ultimately, all information will become, or not all information, but much of what we consider public information reaches a point where it can be affordable to be consumed by the people because enough people consume it. And that, I think, is the same thing we're looking at here, kind of with the case with the libraries. And I think the other thing to remember with the libraries is these are governmentally funded organizations.
Mhm.
You know, these are taxpayer funded. It's your dollars. And so if we feel that really, you know, and again, I've participated in a lot of library events, sponsorships, fundraisers, things like this. If we're users and consumers of the library, we also should be going out there and supporting it to make sure that people know it's important to us. And that may mean going to your county council. That may be going to government events. That may be talking to your federal, state, local, elected officials, saying this actually is important. However, the other side of that becomes, what's the information that people want you to consume? And I think that's kind of that same argument. But I mean, this is the reason that we see the proliferation of the internet and news and all the sound bites and stuff like JD was talking about, is because we create the information that wants to be free and gets out there, but ultimately it's not free because it draws clicks and generates revenues that way. It's finding that happy medium.
so it's not enough to tweet about something and wear a band.
No.
Now you have to listen to the band too.
Miss Alicia's here, everybody. Hello, Miss Alicia. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Double cream.
So yeah, all right. So I think we've run that through. So let's move on. Yeah, hey, I love it. The more you, less of me. Always a good combination on this show. All right, so we've got a story that I was posted on Publishers Weekly about independent bookstores, and this is the adage, and we're probably going to be talking about this for long periods of time, and it keeps coming up. But the idea that independent bookstores had a pretty fruitful 2021 for most of what projections were, and things were somewhat normal at some periods of time, and they were able to recoup costs and everything like that. And as we discovered last week, to nobody's surprise, that 2021 at the last quarter or December, sales were down, especially in paperback, and into 2022, sales in the first couple of weeks were down. We all expected that, supply issues, the like, and everything that was going on there. Some people, though, did mention that they did have a very fruitful holiday season in sales. So that's awesome to hear all of that information as well, because it's, as we've been pointing out so far this morning, certain sound bites don't always resonate with everybody, right? So that's pretty cool that people were having some success. But looking at this article was really about looking toward, what Omicron and what variants have done to kind of tailor the business models of bookstores and of course cons. And we've, I know that Jim and I have experienced that firsthand. I know, Nikki, you went to a con recently, or
I'm going to a con in a few weeks. Yeah.
So I mean, things are a little bit different. Things are a little bit, more monitored and taken care of. And this is kind of this whole article was the crystal ball and what, people are expecting, what the experts are saying about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And so I wanted to see from an indie perspective what everybody was thinking about in terms of this. I mean, we had, when we design our plans, we usually are 6 months ahead of time, right? We all knew what 2022 was, what we thought it was, but we've had to adjust that even. So I'm kind of curious how now, as we're in the middle of this, and we have somebody here on the panel who's dealing with it personally right now, and she's so great to be here. I know she's not feeling the best, so we're really happy that she's here. But on top of that, I mean, what is everybody's expectation? What is everybody looking at? And, what are you thinking about? I mean, Adam, you're about to do a release. Do you have a different perspective on how you're going to do this and how you're going to manage it? Or has that changed for you at all? Or, I mean, you said you were doing on Friday, you said you were going to your first con. So are you excited about that as well?
That was co-signed last weekend up in Colorado Springs.
Right.
And from people who had been there before, they said it was much smaller. The author reception on Saturday night was, are you assuming that only half of the visitors, half of the con participants went there to see the authors? There were almost more authors than there were participants.
Yikes.
Yeah. There were people wandering around. I mean, the plus side is it gave me a chance to actually really interact with people who were there. So make a better connection, a stronger connection with the people who were there. But trading quality for quantity. In a big way. So we'll see. I mean, my focus is, for marketing, my focus is mostly online, and online sales rather than, in-person sales until things get a little bit closer to normal. I think that, that's just going to be the way it has to tilt. And speaking just, for this town that I'm living in, there are 2 bookstores in town. One is a Friends of the Library bookstore. So, I've donated a few books there, but I get, for that, if somebody buys them, I get exposure and nothing else. There's no return to me because it's a donation. The other one I just discovered the other day, and it sells books, but it's a information cafe. It does coffee, it provides Wi-Fi, it provides a meeting space and gaming space. So it's trying to have a bunch of different revenue streams in addition to selling books. So I'm working on trying to get in there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to a con next month, sometime in a couple of weeks, and I don't expect to have a lot of money come out of it, which is why in the few cons that I have set up for the rest of this year, I am finding ways to cut costs, like I'm kind of bunking with people, trying not to have a whole lot of hotel, because that's where your money goes, the hotel. If I can find someone who lives nearby, I know them, hey, can I just bunk down with you for a while? I'm just trying to cut corners. I really don't think I'm going to like sell out, because what I've been told by my friends who've done a couple of cons in the past months, they're like, no, you don't. It's more just you're hanging out with your friends, because you're not going to sell a lot. Because right now, a lot of people just aren't. Again, they're still scared. I bought so many. I got these really cool N95 masks. I've got like 30 of them, and I'm gonna be taking those with me and wearing those. I'm gonna be doing all I can not to get. So far, we have not had COVID. We've gotten all the shots, but we've been very lucky. And I don't want to do this.
I hope it holds.
Yeah, me too.
It sucks.
My brother-in-law has COVID now. My sister-in-law has COVID. But so far, we've been very lucky. We have not had the COVID yet. But I'd hate to go do a con and bring it home and infect my family.
Yeah.
That would,
I think more than the year of the pivot, we're living an age of the pivot.
age of the pivot, yeah.
Because it's an age. This started in 2020. Okay, you had to adapt to what was going on. Then 2021 was its own adventure, and then you had to adapt to what was going on. And now 2022, it's not only the current challenges, but what we've been dragging. So apart from everything, how to cut costs and whatnot, and where do you feel comfortable?
Right.
Basically, last year I was checking out what every event was doing, and I know just by seeing the pictures and how people were behaving, and just seeing general news, I can tell you where I'm going to go and where I'm not going to go. The Puerto Rico Comic Con got bumped from January to April, but I'm still going, and I'm still going to participate because vaccination rates in Puerto Rico are high, and even though there's a high level of contagion. And now the dynamic used to be like someone's cousin got sick, someone's grandparent got sick. This person who knows this person got sick. The thing is that those cases were extremely severe. Last year, the tail end, it was like, okay, let's play guess who has COVID. It's like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it's seeing what you feel comfortable with. Seeing the precautions that the Puerto Rico Comic Con is taking, seeing how people are behaving. Yes, there's always going to be an opportunity for that, but seeing just the general behavior versus, here in Georgia, I will be, 30 times more careful because some places don't care and other places care a lot. Last year, Multiverse, I saw the pictures and I saw how people were behaving. I would consider that if it didn't land on my anniversary. I might swing by one day, but man, it's my anniversary weekend. It's like, yes.
Yeah, the wife don't like that. No, trust me, being on that end, they don't like that.
But then I saw some other events where right now it's an age where people get off on being defined, and it's never been easier to be defined. And look at me, I'm such a badass. And it's like, cool, if you want to do that, that's cool, but I'm not interested in that. I want to leave you where you are, and I want to go where I'm going to feel safe and like-minded people that are taking the precautions. And that's basically how I'm basing my decisions. How I'm going to do in terms of my book releases, I've been tinkering and I've been thinking about what I'm going to do. Because we mentioned earlier about the people, the quality versus quantity, the personal aspect, how to personalize it. I've been thinking about a bunch of things that I'm going to be considering, from writing handwritten letters to people, to anyone who buys my books in this date can have a sit down with me for like an hour or stuff like that, and just trying to think outside the box and try to give people, people go to your booth and oftentimes they buy your book because of you.
They do.
That's 90% of the time. It's not like if you see a great book cover, a great book title, you love the blurb, but the person's an asshole, you're going to go
exactly.
I'm going to keep my money. So how we can use this as an opportunity to get creative and still connect with people. That's what I've been thinking about. And I haven't done anything and nothing's set in stone, but I gave you a couple of ideas by all means.
That's a great idea. I may use that because, again, I'd sell more in public because it's all persona. I've done booths with people, with other writers, and they'll just sit there. And I'm like, no, sweetie, you've got to get up. You got to put the face on. I understand. I'm an introvert. You got to put the face on, be an actor, give the dancing show, and crash later. I will be crashing for the next 3 days. But for right now, I'm doing the dance, and I'm being funny and I'm just precious. And people buy your books because they think that, well, you're funny, I'll buy your book. Right now I'm staying in Tennessee. I'm not leaving. All the cons I'm doing this next few months will be in Tennessee, and a couple of them will be outdoor events, which is a little safer. But
weather.
But the weather, you
Yeah.
got weather and rain and books, not a good idea. I mean, every year we try to get a booth at the Southern Festival of Books because you're going to get about 3,000 attendees. That's 3,000 chances of selling your book. But so far, these past 2 years, they canceled the very last moment.
But
So-
people are very interested in that. In Puerto Rico, there was a book festival that they did in the middle of the island. To get to this place is a hell of a haul. And when I say a hell of a haul, people say, oh, Puerto Rico is a tiny island. Yeah, but driving from point A to point B, you have to go up a mountain.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
And it's like at the top of the mountain. And I saw pictures of that event, and it was packed, and everyone sold books, and it was a very positive vibe and a very positive environment. Everyone was enjoying themselves, and a lot of people saw that and go like, then let's do it in this town. And the thing is that Puerto Rico is divided in 78 municipalities, so I don't think all 78 will do it, but if a third of them do it, that's a hell of an opportunity.
Yeah, to sell your book.
And again, just a lot of good vibes, everyone taking care of each other. I've read your book and you've read my book.
Yes.
Like, oh, you sell a book, it's like, oh, you looking for something like that? This person sells that, which is the dynamic that you should have in any convention. But
Any convention. I have been in booths where like everybody's a shark and nobody wants to help each other. I will no longer do that. There's a group. I won't work with them anymore because they're all just sharks. And they won't help. And you're supposed to help, man. If you don't like my book, well, this person over here is doing this. Oh, you want to do this? You can do that. All right. When we do the Southern Festival of Books, we all know each other. So we just tell, oh, you want romance? Well, that person over there. You want steampunk? Well, that person over there. It's just it's what you do. It's a community. We help each other. I don't like working with sharks. I ain't got the time for that.
Well, and Joe's seen it because I mean, our crowd that we've got, I mean, we all know each other. We travel together. We spend a tremendous amount of time together. And I'm not worried about making this, this sale or that sale. It's okay. What do you want? What do you like to read? That's what you need to see. Or, hey, take a look at this. I mean, and that is what has made a very effective network. And I mean, we all collaborate. This is created anthologies, this created continual, this created, I mean, the number of things that working together makes happier readers. It makes happier salespeople, and I mean, and it makes happier writers because we all kind of get along together. And by going and saying, "Hey, if you like this, you're going to like that," and the fact that we travel together, we do stuff together, makes life a lot easier to do conventions because despite the fact they can be a tremendous amount of fun, it's still a gruel. I mean, you
so hard
are running wide open for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And having somebody that comes over and goes and says, you need to actually go eat. And
yes.
Yeah.
Not that
my
anybody's
husband comes
ever
to
done
me
that to me before. But
yeah. My husband comes mainly as my psychic anchor. He's the guy who keeps me anchored and also provides me with money, food and water, and just make sure that I've got do you need to go to the bathroom? Go to the bathroom. I will take care of the thing. He's always usually
take a break.
Take a break because you're starting to get kind of weird, getting kind of go and recharge somewhere for a little bit because you're getting weird.
And for different reasons. Take a break can be because you're burnt out and you've been talking nonstop for 4 hours, or it could be that you're having a bad convention and you're kind of losing it, and you're like,
I've been there too.
It's going to be a bust. Fortunately, the captain takes very good care of me. And she's 5 foot. She's 5 foot. Don't mess with me. And when I eat and people try to talk to me, she's very polite but very firm. And she's like,
yeah, give him a break, man.
Yeah, my husband's a former Marine and he can put on the gunny voice. And the gunny voice pretty much causes everyone around him, the buttholes to shrink up and they leave me alone.
And it has a great point, and that's what happened. Again, I can look for the link and show you pictures, and everyone had a really, really. No one took like a bunch of books. A lot of people sold out actually, and I'm not saying that's going to happen all the time. I'm saying that in certain places, if it's outdoor and they have new events, because people are trying to get creative in different ways. It's like, okay, we can't have our usual shiny object and what we used to love and adore, etc. So how are we going to pivot?
Yes.
And one of those pivots that I absolutely loved that the Publishers Weekly article is talking about is focusing on doing more virtual events and making those available, because people will attend them. People are still enjoying those. And I hope it's one of those things that we realize that it's not just Omicron, it's not just COVID that is feeding that, people wanting that. There are people who don't like being in crowds, who
or can't
get
travel,
anxiety, or who can't travel, but they want to be able to meet authors, and having that opportunity to meet an author that they love and adore and be able to ask them questions in a digital format is absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be sad if we did. I mean, I would, because I love conventions.
I mean,
but I hope that as we go back to normal, that will be part of our new normal, and we'll respect and have the option to be able to do all of these multiple things. Because I'm out in Salt Lake City, and being able to travel to, I mean, I miss being on the East Coast, and you could literally drive 3 hours and hit another event. Here, if I'm not doing an event in the Valley, I have to go. It's a 10-hour drive to the next big convention.
Yeah,
and then,
I'm in the same boat.
And it's like that. Yeah, it's like that all over the place. But being able to have these virtual events, I can do a Seattle book signing virtually, and they're embracing that. And there's something to be said of, oh well, you're on the screen, so it's not quite the same. But you're right, it's not. And for introverts, you won't get as worn out doing those virtual events. So you can still be that beautiful, shining, happy author that's what the audience wants to meet. And you won't get completely wasted and have to take an entire week to recover like you do with conventions, which I don't, because I'm an extrovert and I absolutely love conventions. And I'm the kind of person that, like, the last day I'm dead, but the next day I'm like, oh my God, that was so amazing, I can't wait for the next one. But with Omicron, I'm the one that's been sick, for those in the audience that don't know.
I'm sorry.
And it really sucks because I can't get the vaccinations because of health concerns. My son and I both aren't able to get vaccinated. Fortunately, my husband and my other child are vaccinated. But, with me not being able to get vaccinated, I don't go out. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. And my son, he's still doing public school because it's his senior year and he didn't want to do virtual, and he's an extrovert like his mother. And that's where I got it. And people got mad because I was like, I got it from the schools. Let's close down the schools. We're at 5%. Give them a chance to recover. And everybody's like, well, how do you know you got it from the schools? I was like, because unlike the rest of you crazy fuckers, I know exactly where I've been and what I've done. And it's funny because my husband,
your tracing is pretty easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. Yeah.
Well,
but my husband, he is fully vaccinated, and he still goes nowhere and does nothing because that's what the fact that his company is allowing him to continue working from home is like the greatest thing in the whole wide world. And he's like, I don't care what happens next. I'm not going back to an in public office. It was emotionally exhausting for me. I couldn't handle it. I get so much more work done working from home. And, there are people like me. I work better with a group. I love having that in person, but you can do that virtually. It's amazing. You can build a fantastic, exactly. And people need to embrace the technology and continue expanding it, because this is the future of, it's not just, this is this virus. This is the future of technology. This is the future of interacting with people, being able to do an event with people that are thousands of miles away and still be able to feel like you're right there in the same room. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And the longer this goes on, the more entrenched this is going to be.
Yes.
And the harder it will be to break people of it. I mean, my wife.
And why break it? It's amazing.
My wife, she's a coach. She does, parent coaching and life coaching and nutrition coaching, and she does it all virtually, which means she has clients that she talks to in Singapore and in Toronto, and also 50 miles away in a nearby town. So she can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, as long as they can coordinate the schedules. It's easy. And and you can go from one to the next, bang, 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 bang. There's no travel, there's no nothing. It's just, okay, click on this, go to the next one.
And so much cheaper than having to keep that off.
I was thinking
right?
that too.
Yeah.
Overhead
Having to
would
pay
be-
that rent and all
Yep.
that stuff. Absolutely. It blows my mind that one thing I have to say, I love that in the report that we were reading is that they're seeing an increase in sales even when they can't stay open.
Mhm.
That means that people are going away from Amazon and buying from bookstores again.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
love
think
that.
Me too.
I think
They
that's
specifically
fantastic.
said that they had hired more people just to deal with internet sales.
Mhm.
Several
I
of them
remember reading
had,
that.
they just had people that were handling their internet events
But
and
I was
activities
gonna-
and sales.
I was going
And
to
I
bring
think
this up
that's
for
great.
JD because JD's been ahead of that for a long time with our friends in Puerto Rico, the Tazda, the Deportes. You know.
Tazas y portadas. Come on, bro.
Yeah. I wanted you to say because you say it much sexier. So.
It's the Latin voice. It's the Latin voice of the R's that I can run the R's. Something that the article mentioned is also that they were a lot of independent bookstores are doubling down and taking care of their staff. First off, retaining people in these times is very crazy, but also how you moderate who goes, how they behave, what they have to do to make sure that everyone's safe. That varies from place to place. And again, I am considering eventually doing events here in Georgia, but my eyes are open. And I see how they treat their employees, and I see how people and patrons treat the owner and the employees and the support that they give. And again, one thing is just treating someone like their book bitch. It's like, yeah, give me my book, and that attitude, which a lot of people have, and a lot of people have that in outdoor settings and in dining settings. And I have no idea why that ever was a thing. But in these times, being an asshole these times just makes no sense to me. But the precautions they're taking and taking care of their own, and you're going to see that that's going to pay dividends in the short and long run, and in terms of their business and their operations. Just because if people see that you're committed to them, normally they reciprocate.
Yeah.
Well, and I think again, part of what we're seeing is as we've got I think it's a little misbranded, but as we see a lot of people fleeing kind of corporate environments and the big business environments and stuff like that, we're seeing the growth again in small business that's been coming and gradually building for a while. Because we've got a lot of people because we see large companies, large entities that have gone through a lot of automation, a lot of this kind of work that are now, able to shrink the amount of staff that they need. And to an extent, or in some cases, using the pandemic as an excuse and trimming bodies. So we're going to see growth in indie bookstores, indie shops, and other kinds of indie business, and back to much more of a small business kind of environment.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a conflict between the people that want to support and get that kind of touch versus the people that, in essence, want to live the Amazon life of ship it to my doorstep, be my book bitch.
But a lot of companies are also seeing their online sales going through the roof because we're able to provide that shipping. So I actually have all my books on my own bookshop on my website, and I am hoping to expand that this year to provide another resource for authors to be seen on my site, not just having their, but stacking. That shelf right there is going to be filled with my favorite indie authors, and I'm going to be reselling their books to help promote them.
Great idea.
And I love that more and more people are shifting away from just shopping on Amazon, and they're open to shopping in other places that are able to provide that shipping and handling and provide those services. It's okay to not go out. It's okay to shop somewhere other than Amazon and not go out.
And authors are pretty much really willing to send you a signed book.
Oh yeah,
You
and
want-
swag.
They
I'll send
love
you
it.
all the stuff.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
love
some
it.
swag.
All
Well,
the swag.
who else helps us fill our shelves, and that is Miss C.L. Cannon, and she's got a great indie connection for you this week. It's murderous, everybody. So enjoy, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, C.L. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'm going to be telling you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile. The first book I have for you is called Murder Above the Silver Waves by Blythe Baker. In the summer of 1923, danger crosses the Atlantic as Lillian Crawford sets out on a voyage to England. Banishment from New York aboard a magnificent luxury liner should have been the wealthy socialite's ideal escape from disgrace. But everything changes when a moonlit stroll leaves Lillian the only witness to a shocking murder. Could a hot-tempered American billionaire be behind the killing? Or perhaps a certain handsome, blonde pianist who guards a secret? And what does the victim's bitter wife have to hide? Determined to answer questions no one is asking, Lillian enlists the aid of her twin brother Felix, as often as she can drag him away from the card tables. The Crawford siblings' idyllic voyage becomes a fight for their lives as they race to uncover the identity of a killer before they become the next victims. The second book I have for you is called Murder in the Air by Emily Organ. Is airship travel safe? Not if there's a killer on board. When business magnate Robert Jeffries announces his investment in airships, he hosts a promotional flight for a group of reporters. Working undercover in the crew is retired spy Augusta Peel. She'd rather be working on her book repair business, but Inspector Fisher of Scotland Yard has persuaded her to help with a surveillance operation. The press trip on the airship takes a turn when a body is found in a cabin. Augusta now has a new challenge on her hands. Can she identify the murderer? It's tricky to find a motive among the sophisticated passengers. Some of them are sophisticated liars, too. Events escalate when a second death occurs. The airship murderer is covering their tracks. Augusta faces a race against time before the culprit tracks her down and silences her, too. The third book I have for you is called Murder on the Sea Witch by Irena Shapiro. When the body of a renowned British archaeologist is found inside a sarcophagus he was bringing back from a dig in Egypt, Redmond and Hayes must determine who aboard the Sea Witch had a reason to want him dead. The method of murder suggests it was someone familiar with the funeral rites of the ancient Egyptians, casting suspicion on members of the expedition. But there were others aboard the vessel who might have harbored a grudge against Blake Upton for reasons unconnected to the dig. Confronted with professional jealousy, affairs of the heart, simmering resentment, and corrosive blame, Redmond and Hayes must solve the case before the killer strikes again. And the last book I have for you is called The Man by the Sea by Jack Benton. John Slim Hardy, heavy drinker and disgraced soldier turned bumbling private detective, is hired to investigate Ted Douglas, an investment banker who slips out of work every Friday to visit a desolate cove on the Lancashire coast. There, he walks to the shore, opens an old book, and begins to read aloud. His wife thinks he's having an affair. Slim thinks he's insane. The truth is more incredible than either could imagine. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on Indie Connection. Bye.
All right. Yes. Oh, there we go. Another Indie Connection for everybody. Very, very cool one. In fact, I muted everybody so I could do this real quickly because the damn chat is getting on my nerves. Taza y potatis. Did I do better that time? No, is that worse?
Beautiful.
Better.
Thank you.
What kind of
Oh
demon
my
are you
God.
summoning? What was that?
Better. Thank you. All right. Enough with that. I did it all so JD could say it because JD says it beautifully. So
He does.
So, all right.
Roll that R.
Relax. See, this is what I'm talking about. This has been the chat for the last 5 minutes. So,
Language lessons.
Margaret made an interesting comment here that I wanted to pull up. She said, "Who hired internet events people at bookstores? I missed my calling for a day job." Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
I would love to take that on if I had time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, this is a new thing, JD. She's promised to not be in the car this year. So
I wonder why.
What's the
But
fun in
if
that?
she interviews anyone, it has to be in the car, like, instead of a carpool karaoke, carpool, interview or something. I always found it super charming. And I remember the time that Morgan and her were in the car, and it looked like they were in opposite sides of the same car.
Yeah.
Yes, we had fun with that. Yeah, we had fun with that. But yeah, I mean, so you guys pretty much took care of all the things I was going to talk about. So, I mean, is there more to this that you guys wanted to add a little bit on top of what this article was saying? I mean, it is cool that, that they covered a lot of the bases for this and kind of went through the gamut. I mean, how, so are you looking, let me ask you this then. So as we get further into the year and as summertime comes around, which is what most people feel like this is going to wane and we're going to get kind of the same effect that we had last year, maybe even a little bit better this year. Who knows? Maybe even a little worse, maybe a little bit more toward 2020. I mean, it really, nobody knows. But the idea is if it does kind of go toward what 2021 was doing and people are getting more out, I mean, a lot of events are counting on that. A lot of events aren't canceling. They're pushing back. Like JD mentioned, the Puerto Rico Comic-Con did that. There's, I posted an article.
March.
Yeah. So, but and then the events later in the year are all looking at, a Dragon Con, of course, is going to go on without a hitch, and 400 people are going to get COVID from that. But
how many people went last year? And again, you see the pictures, and you see it is going to happen. It's a percentage. But even so, that's a very minimal number for the amount of people that went. And people that were hungry, people are hungry for events. So
they are.
It can and it will happen. And again, people have this misconception that if you have the vaccine, you're not going to get it. And it's like they've never said that. They've never said that. It's just that your symptoms. And again, I know a lot. The end of the last year, a lot of people got COVID, but everyone was like, "I have flu-like symptoms," or "I feel like crap." But you're able to say that from your bed or from your home versus going
from
to
the hospital. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things. I mean, even with me not being vaccinated, and I will say I've had the flu, I've had pneumonia, I've had all sorts of horrible sickness. This sucked, but at no point was I like, oh my God, I am going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm still struggling to get better, and even though, it sucks, it's adapting and adjusting to being a less dangerous form of sickness. And especially for those who are able to get vaccinated. My husband, he never even got sick. My son, he tested positive, but he had a headache for 3 days. He had a little bit of congestion and he's fine.
Yeah.
And, in the past, we would have both been waiting to see if we had to go to the hospital because, my nephew ended up in the hospital when he got COVID in 2020, and he was healthy and he was young and he was fit and he almost died. And so
it's a toss of the die, and people go like, "Oh, I just got a mild cold. Nothing's going to happen." That's what that was your case. You don't know how it's going to affect someone else, and I
exactly
have gotten it twice, and it's like, this is not Pokemon. Do not collect all the variants.
This is not Pokemon. Do not collect all the variants.
Be
That's
safe.
brilliant. That needs to be a T-shirt. Okay, that needs to be a T-shirt.
Well, and I think that the other thing that we all kind of, Omicron has kind of proven this is this is not going away. What we're really waiting for is this to fully become endemic. It's another background flu or something like that, even though likelihood is for a significant period of time, it's going to be more serious than the flu. But the flu itself is pretty deadly as well.
It can be,
if
yes.
you look at the numbers. But
people say, "Oh, it's like the flu," and I'm like, "That's bad."
Yeah. It can kill you.
And I think that's what some people have underplayed as well. But we're really just waiting for this thing to become endemic, and it's working. It appears to be working its way that direction, but it's not there. And I think that it's going to be a crapshoot for the CDC. One day just goes and says, "Yeah, we're just going to call it endemic because it eases up the paperwork."
Basically.
Or because we're getting pressured to say that it's endemic, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so bringing it back to authoring and books and stuff.
Back to the books.
So the idea of, are you thinking, Jim, because you're somebody who prolifically goes to events. I mean, you're literally booked from the beginning of March to the end of August, essentially almost every weekend doing stuff. And that's not. I'm not pontificating. I'm telling you that's the
Very
truth.
good.
But so for you, are you slowing down? Are you taking breaks in between there? What is your strategy in terms of that? When you know that a lot of these are going to pile up into that time period.
So there are some things that I've cut out of my schedule, either because events aren't happening, my other schedules and other things. I mean, I'm making changes. The event I was supposed to have last weekend is moving to March, but it's a weekend in March where I can't be there. I have to be in Charleston at another event, but it's outdoors pretty much, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to adapt that particular event. Then April is Jordan Con in Atlanta, which last year Jordan Con was extraordinarily safe and well run, much like Multiverse was. I've got Highland Games, which is outside in Charlotte. Well, I'm one of the event directors. I got to be there. We are doing a book event as part of that as well. But I mean, it's, go through heavy objects and chase men and skirts. We've got Jordan Con. Raven Con is finally going to happen after it's been on hiatus for several years. So I'll be there. I know the people that are running it and everything else. We expect that to be very well run, very safe. Had another event that was in Charlotte in April that got canceled, but that gives me a free weekend. In May is Con Carolinas. Yes, he did just say Highland Games.
Men in kilts.
I actually am I am a heavy athletics judge, and I teach people to throw heavy objects, which also means my fat ass has been parked in a chair way too much. Needs to be getting some more exercise before
Don't we all?
Then May is
weather help.
Yeah. Well, as I was trying to dig out snow yesterday, all of a sudden it was like, yeah, I'm just going to die out here in the snow.
I live here now.
It's easier. Just leave me here. In May and end of June, we've got Con Carolinas coming up. We've got in my July is slam busy because that's 10 days of Scottish games, teaching people doing stuff outside. Ran very well, very safely last year. Despite the fact being a lot of people, the crowd was heavy and packed, but again, it's an outdoors event. I've got Congregate. I'll be teaching workshops there for that. It's a small event. I know the people that run it. I know how well it's run. So I mean, the events that I'm doing for the most part are ones where I know how they're run. I know who's there, much like JD was saying. I'm going to places that I know are run very well. Kind of the crapshoot for that is Dragon, but Dragon is very well run, very well organized, and is as safe as can be. It's a numbers game. Planning on Multiverse as well. I mean, the events I'm doing are events that are either generally a little bit smaller, and the people are vaccinated. You've got COVID tests. You've got all these other things, and my wife I've had a lot of conversations about this because she also, for her business, the things that she does a lot of other events with business owners, technology people, things like this. And so we kind of rely on meeting with people. And even though I very much have lived in a digital world for a very long time, I also traveled for 20 something years. I understand the value of meeting people face to face and being there. Same time, I just want to stay parked on top of my mountain and not see any other human beings. But between what we're doing with Continual and live events can be done with relative safety if you take the proper precautions. If you're not going to take the proper precautions, then A, you probably don't want to be there for the event. B, I don't want to be there for the event. And C, if those things happen, that's what we're going to see cause a crash in events again. Yeah. So I think that's really kind of the key to it.
Yeah, if crowd controlled, I mean, I think that you bring up a great point about how things are run, and I think as we all experience these things, we get more comfortable with being able to go to these things. Like I have no problem going to Multiverse again if they would have me again, because I think it was super well run, and I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be afraid of going. Afraid is the wrong word, but I wouldn't be so cautious to go, or look at it. But then you look at a Dragon Con, and the problem is not with the way Dragon Cons run. It's the problem is the way that the city of Atlanta's run, really, and that there is 1 million people that go to this thing. Even if they try to control it, there's still a lot of people, and that's where the odds kind of turn against the festival like that. So,
and a lot of buildings in a lot of places, restaurants, things.
Yeah,
like
you
that
have to
that are
move
open
around.
to football crowds and other stuff, so it's not as isolated a crowd. So it's about adapting your behavior and limiting who you're around, which does also sort of cut into part of the reason for doing the event, something like that.
Yeah. I think that's all. I think that's all a comfort level you start to develop, and you figure that out. And I think as we go along, the summertime, that's why events are going to happen, is because people are going to be comfortable with going to these things because they experienced it the year before, or they know the people that are involved and they know that they can trust them, kind of idea. So the only issue with that is, will crowds come back? And as we've seen last year, and as Adam mentioned earlier, more authors than, it's more cows in the field than there are people, right?
Farmers.
So, so.
She calls a cow.
All right.
JD
On
for
that
mayor.
On that note, let's run around the horn and have everybody find you. Let's give everybody a place to find you so that they can find you. So, Adam, why don't you start us off, please, and tell everybody where they can catch you at?
Sure. The best place to go is right there, CassidyChronicles.com. That's a website recently redesigned by Mal Cooper. To my fellow authors, she's amazing at this. But yes, CassidyChronicles.com. You can find out all about upcoming releases. Got one coming out in about a week. That is Memories of Ayana, and it's actually edited by me, written by one of the main characters.
Nice.
Yep. Kendra is out there.
Nice. Awesome. All right, JD, where can everybody find you, sir?
Remember, people, I got books, and they're multiplying, and they will multiply this year. These are my two most recent reads. This is nice and positive poetry. This is kind of effed up. Right now, I know that I bash Amazon a lot, but it's where I have most of my books available in terms of ebooks and whatnot. So yeah, go to this on for now. I do plan to make on changes for that, but I will take this opportunity. I mentioned an idea earlier. So if you buy or review any of my books and leave a comment here, I'll give you a 30-minute one-on-one session to talk, to chat, to have a friendly chat. If you want to ask for advice in terms of publishing, writing, or ideas or whatever, it's 30 minutes for you. If you buy or review my books and leave a comment here, or any of the live shows that I do on GoIndieNow this year. So it's an exclusive offer that I just came up with, because why the hell not?
That's right.
I'm gonna buy a
Awesome.
book just so I can listen to JD for a half an hour.
Yeah.
And also, if you buy my books and you want them uniquely dedicated, all my books at Tazas y Portadas, or at least most of them, when I say uniquely dedicated, I sent over 20 books, and each dedication is different. And it takes time.
That must have been fun.
It's always to me, it's important for people to get the bang for their buck and feel that I'm doing something extra because I care, and I do care.
No viewers, don't bite your screen.
And remember, everybody, what he said. If you take the entire thing in context, don't take the little part where he said 30 minutes with JD. If you do this, he said you have to leave a comment, so you have to leave a comment.
Yes.
So that's part of the.
You can do a screenshot of your comment. The main thing is that people are very active in the chat, but if you're watching this afterwards, this is an offer for you.
All right, Jim, you want to tell everybody where they can find you, sir?
How can you not find me? I don't think. Or how do you find me? I
He's
don't
pretty
know.
much everywhere.
I'm everywhere and nowhere. Again, kind of snowbound at the moment. You can find me at jamespnettles.com, authoressentials.net, authoressentialsworkshops.com, continualconvention.com, and speculative fictionacademy.com. I'm I look like I'm on Facebook a lot more than I actually am, but you can catch me through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all that kind of good stuff. In the process right now, all of the new website stuff for all of those is pretty much in development, and getting ready to do the big migration to stuff that looks nicer and prettier and more stable with the new toys.
Awesome.
You
Sorry,
can
that was
do that.
that was my reflexes going bad. Sorry, I
I've been kicked
apologize.
out of better places. I mean,
All right. No, that's my stupidity. Sorry. All right, Heidi, tell everybody where they can find you, please.
You can find me at HeidiAngel.com, and that's angel with 2 L's because I'm not that kind of angel. That Jack
Nice.
never gets old.
Never.
No, it's awesome.
We can see
Fantastic.
the orange. It's okay.
That's a great line.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Totally. I agree. You know, and I'm Joe Compton, and this is Go Indie Now, and we really appreciate you being here. If this is your first time here, congratulations, you found us. We really appreciate if you stay. So the way you can do that is the first thing you can do, which is really, really simple, everybody. It's this little thumb right there, right underneath the video here, and that's smash that like button. Smash it. Just really just give it an aggressive boom right on the keyboard and put that down there and smash the like button. And then when you're done with that, right next to it, there's this little red button. It says subscribe. Do that too, because we've got other great stuff going on at Go Indie Now. And we really appreciate you staying and checking out all the great stuff we have going on, including in 2017, a conversation I had with Heidi Angel, 2 L's, because she's not that kind of angel, in a supermarket, Starbucks. We did a coffee break Q&A there, and that was a lot of fun. You can get that by subscribing. Well, you can get that anyway, but if you subscribe,
But it's easier
helpful.
to see it.
Oh,
if you
no, I
subscribe.
took it.
Yep.
But if you subscribe, Joe will digitally autograph every single one of them. And
Okay. And yeah, and that being said, we really thank you for being here and enjoying that. And with that, I turned it over to our resident hiding the bodies, awesome personality herself, Miss Nikki Nelson Hicks, and you're going to spend the last 5 minutes with Nikki. So enjoy, everybody.
Hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. I've been working on a series of stories. It's based in a small town that I've created called Forks. I'm sorry, not Forks. Small town called Sticks in East Tennessee, in the mountains. It's a small community full of hardworking people and some weird and wonderful things that kind of look like people some of the time. So today I'm going to read to you a very short snippet from one of those stories called Crown of Feathers. What's a crown of feathers? Well, I'm glad you asked. In Appalachian folklore, a ball of white feathers is sometimes found underneath a sick person's pillow, and it shows that this person is going to die, but they're going to go to heaven. So in this story, in Crown of Feathers, to save his mother from death, a young boy steals the crown of feathers from underneath her pillow. But the next morning, what leaves that sick room isn't his mother. It's an abomination. To undo what he's done, he needs the help of 3 sisters who live high in the mountains. 3 very special sisters, each with their own brand of magic. And this small little snippet is about one of them. Okay. In the human flock, patience is a virtue, a nicety of the humble masses. However, in the wilder sections of nature, patience is the stock in trade of a predator. If you doubt it, look around. Consider the red-breasted robin standing stock still on your front lawn, waiting for the faintest movement of a luckless bug. Watch the cat sitting on a windowsill, frozen, except for a swish of his tail, watching the robin out there on the lawn. Then cast your eye higher still to the spider web in the eaves of the front porch. It looks empty and frail, flittering in the passing breeze, only if you know where to look. Up in the corner pocket, where you see a silent but still garden spider waiting ever so diligently as it waits for the first tremor to sound the alarm of a struggling moth caught in its web. Patience, a humble attribute for some, a game of life and death for others. Sister Megara was a being of the latter sort. She couldn't see the boy, not with the eyes in her head, but there are other ways if one knew how. She reached out with spectral fingers until she found an anthill. The creatures were hungry. Their sort always were. It was easy to push them towards the tender flesh on the ankles of a young boy. Ow! She heard him yip and smiled. The sounds of scuffling soon followed as the boy jumped up and began slapping the ants off his legs. Ow! Get off! Gosh darn! Ow! Sister Megara leaned forward in her rocking chair. His footsteps sounded like dancing as he flailed and kicked. Closer, closer. And that's it for that. So always, thank you very much for listening, and always know that it's always time to go indie. Bye.